Here now with more on that meeting, Representative Eric Cantor. He's not just any representative. Oh, no. He is House Majority Leader, and we call him Leader. Good to see you, Leader Cantor. I just got a piece of mail, and I want to give this to you just as a little advice. We learned in the first 2 years about a crisis, and you never, ever want to waste a good crisis. So why shouldn't you use this crisis to do something? You're perfectly justified, given the way things are done in Washington.
Well, Joe, and you forgot big Squawk Box fans, so good morning.
Thank you.
Listen, we have a situation where the spending's out of control. We know we've got this outside deadline here that the Secretary of Treasury has said is in August, and we are really trying to see where we can arrive at consensus so that we can produce trillions of dollars in savings and demonstrate that we're going to stop the way that money is spent in Washington and reform the system. And that's really what yesterday's meeting was about. That's what the ongoing meetings with the Vice President's about. And ultimately, though, really getting the fiscal house in order is just a part of what we got to do. As you know, this economy is not growing fast enough. We got to get people back to work, and we've put forward a real growth strategy to do that.
But we don't. It's hard to watch, and I know it's sausage being made, but it's hard to watch. Leader Cantor, because it just seems like a lot of demagoguing on both sides. On the Democrat side, you hear the demagoguing that the world theoretically could end if you don't do this. On your side, you pretend you're actually going to be able to get something substantial accomplished when most people say you can't do that in a month or two. You can't tackle Medicare. It's all going to be, non-specific smoke and mirrors that you finally get. So, I mean, these are long-term things. Why not you just raise it and then let's get down to the hard work of doing something about it?
Joe, the difference is that where we are, I would dare say, is not demagoguery. What we're saying is we actually can produce trillions of dollars in cuts within the next month if we are committed to doing so. And we've identified areas where we can cut. And in fact, if you see sort of some of the message coming out of the Vice President's office and others, they actually have agreed to say, you know what, we can see huge savings here. And what's so striking about that is 2 months ago, they were saying you couldn't cut anything. So I do think that there's been progress made. The test will be whether it's real. And I will tell you, we're not going to have the votes in the House unless something is real and that we can demonstrate reform going forward, period.
Are you sure that the economy is strong enough at this point to really go big on austerity? I mean, we see how tough it is when you try and do this. That's what you're going to hear with that number yesterday on manufacturing. We got a number tomorrow. We don't know what it's going to be, but ADP, that employment number was bad. It's never a good time to pull back on government stimulus. You sure this is a good time?
I don't know what's in your coffee this morning, Joe, but I'll tell you one thing. If you're trying to say we need to defend the policies of the last 2 years, I think you and I both agree. It's demonstrated when you pumped almost $800 billion into the economy from Washington, meaning borrowed and taxed money, it didn't work. I mean, look at where unemployment is right now. And we've sort of been there, done that. And what we're trying to say to the president is, look, you've tried your way, it didn't work. The voters responded last November. We now have an opportunity to create an environment where you can actually see investors and entrepreneurs get back into the game. And we need to work really hard to get Washington's fiscal house in order, yes, but also provide incentives through reduction of tax rates, through a sensible regulatory policy, through a sensible monetary policy and strong dollar, as well as trying to get this trade agenda going. Those are the type of things that we've got to do, because if we do that, you're going to create an environment where the private sector can actually begin to invest again, and that's been the problem.
I don't want to spend too much time on those trade issues, but we've been talking about that a lot. What's the compromise going to look like? And will there be one? I mean, that seems so important for jobs. And what is the number of exports? We're talking, tens of billions in exports if you do that. But you guys don't want to go along with that worker retraining at a cost of over $1 billion a year. How's that finally going to look?
Well, first of all, even at the administration's predictions, you're talking 250,000 jobs, 250,000 jobs created over the next 18 months. Of course we want to do that. Now, look, when we're talking about trade adjustment assistance, we are talking about added expenditures aimed at trying to get workers back into the game. That's fine, but just as everything else around here, we got to prioritize, and if you're going to spend money on that, we'll have to identify areas in which you're offsetting that expenditure. We don't have unlimited money, just as no family or business has got unlimited money, and the quicker we come to that realization and get about our business, the quicker I think you're going to see people get back to work and this economy will grow.
I wonder, we have former leader Hoyer on, Minority Whip Hoyer on. I just wonder when he comes on, what do you expect to hear from him about the potential for big spending cuts in order to raise the debt ceiling?
Well, Steny Hoyer has been one who has, consistently said that he believes that spending's out of control. I think where we may differ is, he'll insist that we've got to go and raise taxes. And I think that right now it is counterintuitive to think that you raise taxes on the people that you are expecting to create jobs. It just doesn't make sense. And I think that's where he and I would differ. But I do think that Steny is committed to trying to reduce some spending.
Leader Cantor, did I hear you correctly? You said that there are trillions of dollars in savings that we can find and that you expect to be able to reach an agreement on before the debt ceiling is raised?
Well, again, I did say, Becky, that there are trillions of dollars on the table under discussion right now. And if it were up to me, yes, I'd do it tomorrow. The question will be, will the president and his party go along with doing what the American people want us to do, which is get the fiscal house in order and grow the economy. Now, I'm hopeful we can get this thing done. I can see an outline for a significant deal to be had. The question is, the president, is his party willing to go ahead and finally do what's got to be done?
Will you going to be around tomorrow?
Am I going to be around tomorrow? Sure.
We're going to be down there. Where are we? Treasury? Where are we this time?
The Department of Labor for the jobs report.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What am I saying? We're going to be at the Department of Labor. You can find it because there's a big Cesar Chavez mural right in the lobby there. So
I'm hoping that
no,
you're going to.
That was the mural. Yeah. Go ahead.
I'm hoping that you're going to take the message there as well. You got regulations coming out of the Department of Labor.
I know.
And that are so contrary to what we expect.
I love
if we want to grow
I've
this
talked about
economy.
South Carolina so many times, Eric. Believe me. And if you can explain it to me how an administration that wants to get reelected is allowing the NLRB to hold back 9,000 jobs in South Carolina, I don't get it. You can tell me about it. I guess they got longer term projects in mind.
You got regulations coming out. There's one that came out yesterday.
Why don't you bring Pelosi or somebody tomorrow to the set? We got Greenspan. Come over to Labor. You're invited. Bring your counterpart, and let's hammer out a deal tomorrow. That would be historic, wouldn't it?
Hey, listen, if it's going to happen, it could probably happen on Squawk Box.
Well, can you do it? Who could you get to show up? Steny? I'll ask Steny, too.
Well, listen, we'll certainly try and do that. If you got him on today, offer the invite.
All right, I'm going to offer. If you'll come, so we're on between 6 and 9 tomorrow at Labor. Are you even up by then, or?
I'm absolutely.
All right. Well, we will. There's Steny. We're going to ask him. So you'll come if he'll come?
Well, let's. I don't want to say yes if I'm not invited. So let's make sure
you're invited either way. You're invited either way. You could bring the lowliest freshman dem over, and that's fine. You're invited.
Thank you always.
All
Big
right.
fan.
Well, thanks. We're going to see. We'll be in touch, and with Steny on at 8:40 in West. Do you think we could hammer out a deal tomorrow? Thank you, Leader Cantor.